It's post-bag time. Let's get cutting. All right, what is this one? Let's have a look. Feels heavy. Because it's full of, oh my God, what? It's full of relays. Wow. Okay, so that's a little crazy. What have we got here? Let's sort these out. Is that a satisfying arrangement? I guess so. I'm not sure. Sometimes I order like 5 things, not realizing that there's already 5 things, if that makes any sense. So this is clearly 5 relays, 12 volt, and I've just ordered it 5 times. They are pretty cheap items actually, but do they work? Let's throw one in a circuit and let's see if we can't get some switching action. So not an entirely happy circuit, but it's working. I've got 15 volts coming in on a separate power supply here. I've actually put this upside down and I've connected up these jumper wires to it because it's not very breadboard friendly. So even though there's breadboards involved, yeah, it's a bit of a dead insect style connection. But basically what you've got is you've got your COM here, and that's your 15 volts coming in, and then off to ground. There's a common ground between the power supply, which is the 12 volts coming in, and the separate power supply providing our, well, in this case, pretty high current to the LED. And then they're just connected by this green wire here from ground to ground. As far as the switch goes, I'm just going to be using these 2 here. So you just switch that, and you can, yeah, you can see there that it's working fine. Drawing a little bit too much current, so I'm not going to hit it up for too much, but those relays work fine. This is in a normally closed position here, and then of course you can have it normally open as well and have it switching that way. So yeah, good relays. I don't know what I'm going to do with so many of them, but hey, anyone wants a relay, hit me up, all good. Right, what's this guy? No, it's a well packaged one anyway. Oh, I think these are more relays. Yes, they are. These are the ones that you use for switching, for instance, if you've got a DC input here, so something even logic level 3 to 32 volts DC, and on the other side switching AC. You can switch DC, but it stays latched. We should try that. Okay, so I've just got, I think it's around 5 volts coming in here to switch this, and 8 volts on the other side, and that's just DC coming through a little LED here. So what should happen when I connect this up, so this is going to be my switch, just 2 wires, it should just latch. Yep, there it goes. And it'll stay latched until the power goes off on the latching side. Now that could be handy, but it's really designed for AC, so not very good for switching DC. Let's just do that again. Yeah, no worries. At least they work, and yeah, up to 10 amps this one, so pretty good deal. Next. Oh. Right, okay, my not favourite little fake nanos. So it says Nano version 3, it isn't. So this is the old Franken Nano from a previous video, and I've just ordered a couple of more, really because I just wanted to reassure myself that some of the problems I had with it weren't from that supplier. So yeah, there's 2 of those in there, and it's just a combination of, well, theoretically an Atmega 328, although in the last lot it wasn't. It was some sort of bizarre thing. And then you've got the long range, what is it, NRF 24L or 04 or something like that, which is the long range communication. So yeah, I mean, if they work properly, they'll be great little units. You should be able to get communication between these 2 up to sort of 80 or 100 meters line of sight, which can be a useful thing. but I'm really interested to see what this processor is compared to the last one. Okay, oh, that's a little bit close. That's nicer. And this is little buttons. Who doesn't love little buttons? So I think it was Simple Electronics, I think, that had these buttons, and I thought I've just got to have them. I'll check that. But I just like, I mean, I've got, you know, enough of these, but the fact that they're nice, brightly coloured, will they go in here? I'm going to actually stretch these a little bit. They're nice, brightly coloured, and yeah, well, they're literally tactile switches. So let's just pop that in. A bit tricky. There we go. Is that in on that side? Yeah, not too bad. Here we go. All right, good. Do they work? Well, let's find out. Around 5 volts coming in. There's the cute little switch. Yellow LED to match, and then outski via ground. So let's just try it. Yeah, look at that. Nice. Beautiful little switches. Thanks, Simple Electronics. Love those. Okay. Not sure the cutting device is working too well, but anyway, what is this piece of paper? Nothing. Little NRF 24, whatever they're called, blah blahs. These are the ones which, well, let's have a look at this by comparison. So this is the little nano slash NRF 24 blah blah at the end, and this is just a separate unit. So what I'm thinking about doing is, if I can't get this guy to work, because, yeah, not really sure what this chip is, I might actually go back to this sort of style and do it directly. This is called the GT24, which is, I think, the latest version. And, yeah, so I'm interested to know, if I can't get the combined unit going, what can I do in terms of maybe something like a nano or what have you, and the actual separate unit. Okie dokie. Oh, lots of capacitors. So, yeah, when I first started buying capacitors, ratings didn't really worry me, and it wasn't until I blew a few up that I realised that if you put 20 volts into a 10 volt rated capacitor, some bad things can happen. So these are all rated, I think, 50 volts. Yeah, look at that. So 50 volts, if you can see that okay. And this one happens to be a 330 microfarad. So just a nice selection for those times when you need a little bit of overhead on your capacitors. And this is a nice bunch of them. I'm going to go all psychic with this one. I think this is from LCSC. And I think that they are voltage regulators, SOT 89s. That's what I'm hoping anyway. I'm looking at 3.3 volt and 5 volt for IoT projects. So get the paperwork out of the way and let's have a look at these. Wow, very well packed. LCSC is a pretty good site. I mean, there's not a lot on there at the moment, to be fair, but you know, if you want to buy your microprocessors, not so good. But these little guys, still pretty good. So, what have we seen before? We've seen the SSPs. This is the 5 volt version, and this is the 3.3 volt version. These are rated to 500 milliamps, or half an amp. Whereas these guys are rated to 750 milliamps. So I was pretty keen on getting these. I might solder up one of these. Let's solder up the 5 volt version and see if it's going to work for us. So there's our guy in there. That is the H7650, and this is the 5 volt version. So yeah, how does it compare to the one we've seen before, the old SSP 7603 series? Well, there's a couple of minor differences that it will be important for your project depending on which one you want. This one is rated higher, 750 milliamps. This one at 500. But having said that, this guy here, which I'm still a big fan of, accepts up to 15 volts input. Pretty impressive, particularly if you're dropping it down to 3.3 volts, which is a version that we've looked at before. This only accepts, I think, 8 volts input. So, yeah, higher current, but a lower input voltage. But anyway, let's just see if it works. We've got some power here. I do have 8 volts coming in. And, yeah, so that's we can turn that up a little bit. And it seems to be working fine. What I should test to see how that voltage is holding at, I think this is about 1/4 of an amp. Let's do that. So yeah, 5.1 volts. Yep, that's pretty acceptable, I guess. And then on the output, and so this is the, actually I'll get a close up and just show you what I've done with this one too. I didn't quite stick to the data sheet. So here's the guy here, and we've got pin 1, 2, and 3. So this is ground, and then we've got V in and V out. And then across there, you're supposed to have from V in to ground, there's supposed to be a 1 microfarad capacitor electrolytic, and then also across V out and ground the same. But I've done my usual combination of a 104 here, which is 100 nanofarad capacitor piggybacking on top of, in this case, the 1 microfarad electrolytic capacitor. And yeah, that's worked for me over time. You might get different mileage, but it's pretty, it looks pretty awful, but it works a treat. And if you do need to clean it up, of course, either you could use smaller components, the 805s or the 1206s, the SMD versions to clean this up a little bit, or of course you could do it on your own PCB instead of using this is just a standard SOT 89 to DIP adapter. So yeah, pretty ungainly looking thing, but pretty good result. I like that component, and I'm pretty sure it'll find a use. This one comes from Steve in Victoria and seems to have been a little bit burnt by the customs officers of Tasmania. Anyway, let's have a look. What has Steve sent? So Steve's been very generous to me over time, and he's got some great stuff for me here too. Wow. So it looks like a little Wamos module. Let's have a look. Open that guy up. Oh wow, yeah, that's very nice. So that looks like it's an ESP8266 module, and then we've got power regulation and a little switch there, which is good. I'm assuming that this is for communication, UART or something similar. Everything's broken out. Nice little boards. I don't think I've seen those before. It says Mini. Maybe that's like the D1 Mini. SPF. Interesting. That says D1 Mini on the packet. So yeah, and there's some headers in there. Nice one. Thanks, Steve. So this looks very similar. I won't open that one up. That's a D1 Mini. We've got a USB to TTL adapter, another ESPF, by the look of it, exactly the same as that last one, which is great. And we've got, oh, fantastic, yeah, so more of these boards, which is ESP32 on one side and ESP8266 on the other, so the breakout boards, with the weird triangle here, which is the part of the adapter that you throw a relay on, which we've seen in a recent video. So yeah, pretty good. Some raw ESP8266 chips, And wow, this one here, which is another raw chip, ESP8266, not sure which variety. Just have a quick look. It says MOD. Looks like it might be like an ESP maybe 7 or 12. I'll have a look at that one anyway. Thank you, Steve. Awesome. That is a great little haul, and I'll put all of this to good use. Thank you very much. That is the mailbag for the week, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.